Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I've made an episode of anything, so we're just going to dive right in with the latest cartoon series that I've been binge watching so far. Yesterday I have the honor of saying that I've completely caught up to the Chronicles of the FX TV show Archer in its entirety through four days of binge watching everything on watchcartoononline.com. And you might be wondering, what am I exactly going to talk about? The blatant textbook examples of child abuse's effects later on life? Or maybe just the great character dynamics? Nope. Today, for our first episode, we are going to be analyzing the one and only Barry Dillon.
Hate to interrupt your conversation.
It wasn't a conversation, Lana. I was just talking to my gun, not with it. Pretty big difference.
Well, for starters, what can we say about Barry? We know that he is Archer's self-proclaimed and #1 known arch nemesis. Even when he was originally working for Odin, we could constantly see some friction between the two, originated by Archer's antisocial, egotistical tendency to drop him off the side of a building, so far leaving pins in his leg and breaking possibly his pelvis. No one would really want to be happy about that, right? But as we dive a little deeper into Barry's character, at least throughout the first season, we notice some things aren't right in the head. Literally. Let's talk about other Barry. Our regular Barry seems to enjoy talking to himself, as another person named Other Barry. Now, we don't know how long he's been doing this. It could have possibly been awakened by maybe that fall from Archer, or maybe it was something pre-existing that's just started to be let out. Another thing is his tendency to be a bit insane in relationships. I mean, he's not as sexually prone as maybe as Cyril, but let's face it, he's not very good with rejection or getting it through his head what relationships really are. Like, for instance, Framboise. In the episode Job Offer, the second to last episode of season 1 of Archer, he becomes very upset when his coworker Framboise is found sleeping with Archer. Well, besides the fact that Archer shot him as he came in, he claimed that she was his girlfriend, and she has a huge argument and storms out. Especially after Len Trexler offered her to Archer as an incentive to join the company, where Barry calls her his fiancée. Now, here's the thing. He calls her his fiancée of a fiancée, and rightly Len Trexler calls him out for not even proposing to the girl. From what we can assume, after their little fight, I don't even think they were engaged at all. I don't even think they were really dating seriously. I'm assuming that they just dated very briefly and Barry ran away with it. This aspect of his character would later on kind of continue into some of his other conquests, most notably Lana, who we all know is apparently every guy's fantasy. But he seems to be a bit too preoccupied with trying to score her again. As though maybe he wants another chance with her. Possibly to make Archer jealous, or probably to make Archer jealous. But we also have to think about it. He's done even before his cyborg stalking days, he's been pretty well intent on hurting Archer. Let's see, the paternity test with the blood sample, there is a way that he could possibly ask for those 9 seconds that the guards even checked to see if the blood had been tampered with, which he didn't. And there was a possible reasoning that maybe, just maybe, he switched out the test so Archer would have to continue paying child support for a child that's not his. Not to mention, the way they took the blood out of Archer was very brutal and very incompetent. For one thing, you never ever suck blood through a person's clothes. It was probably already damaged. Especially since they didn't even try to sterilize his skin with anything like they would do at a regular doctor's office. And they took more blood than was actually needed to complete the test. Besides the fact that Archer was clearly drunk and continued to be drinking, his blood was too thinned out, and he probably could have killed him at any time in that office just from lack of blood loss. So, Barry, from the first time we see him in the series and probably before, has held a grudge against Archer and is constantly wanting to kill him. Now, the next time we see him and Archer interact, where he drops Barry off the ledge again, we see that that the KGB has taken over, and unwisely, no thanks to Boris, Nikolai Jakov's right-hand man, they've turned him into a cyborg who relentlessly goes to hunt and kill Archer. This opens up a new side of Barry's personality. More of his insanity is dealt with, and we see a bit more into his psyche. Therefore, the first thing he does in order to destroy Archer's happiness lead to the death of an innocent by pushing her off a balcony at the wedding. That sounds like something someone would do at maybe All My Children, right? Well, he even gloats about it later, saying that now I ruined your fiance's wedding as well. Which, once again, is very strange, considering that they were never getting married, Van Brois. Plus, she has been shown to be very promiscuous, as she was more than willing to sleep with with Cyril and Archer at the first instance. Which probably says that he takes things way too far. Next thing we know, we're fast forward, he's been resentfully hunting Archer up into the second wedding, just for no apparent reason. He's been following Archer around to make his life miserable. You wouldn't have thought maybe killing his fiance was enough, since lose an eye, take an eye? No. Barry wants to completely destroy Archer. For whatever angered reason, his psyche is not allowing him to comprehend that maybe, just maybe, once it's enough, or maybe he should do what a lot of people do, move on and grow from this childish incident. Even at Archer's second wedding, which somehow he found out about, he decides to do the next best thing and steal Archer's actual fiancé at the wedding. I don't even know how she saw them as the same. Poor Katya. But honestly, it could be said that these two have terribly different agendas. Not to mention, since there couldn't even be a possible father of the groom at the wedding, because Barry killed the groom's father for no other reason other than to just make Archer suffer, with no way to even see if they were actually related. Oh, Barry. It should also be noted that later on down the line, Barry and Katya's relationship became more submissive and started to hold more and more secrets, such as her taking over the KGB from him while he's off on his rendezvous, going after Archer, which is obviously a deal breaker. Not to mention, when he comes back, she becomes more demanding and he becomes more submissive, which I actually applaud for her girl power. But it's become strikingly more scary when she realizes what they're willing to do. Not to mention, Barry just randomly out of the blue decided to follow Archer to a space station in order to kill him, and then kill off all the other inhabitants on the space station for not being able to modify his spaceship. That he technically, in his own way, was his fault getting stuck up there, and he's just killing the officers because he doesn't want to do what he needs to do for a spaceship. If only ISIS were more competent, they could have taken those poor lives with them. A moment of silence. Either way, when Barry got back, when Katya took the reins of the helms, or took control of the helms, whatever the phrase is, we also see Barry starting to become more submissive, but more and more more and more intent on killing Archer. Why? I'm starting to see that maybe Barry thinks of Archer as the bane of his existence, the main reason why he has all these issues in his life, similar to Lana. However, while Lana eventually grows out of it by resuming her affair with Archer, Barry never really lets go of his anger. Instead, he just lets it fester and boil, which ends up leading to the death of his girlfriend Katya. Well, that and probably being willing to spend $6 million just to make ISIS look bad at a party because Archer's there is pretty despicable. Even then, after Barry is dumped by Katya, what's the first thing he does? Go and kill Archer for something that he had no control over. Katya had already been implied to be having an affair with Boris anyway, who ironically is a person in charge of both him becoming a cyborg and basically his favorited boss's accidental death. But while Boris is probably the dumbest man in Russia, or probably the entire world, it can be safely said that he's actually safer than Barry Dillon, because at least he has standards and he doesn't obsess over one small thing at one time. Let's just forget the waffle incident. But anyway, Katya didn't even know Barry tried to kill Archer again. In fact, by the time we see her again in the, let's see, fourth to last episode of the 6th season, she had no idea where Barry was, and pretty much thought he was doing some other work for the KGB, for all we know. Which also says that Barry's main goal now as a cyborg, he only has one purpose. Like Android 16 from Dragon Ball Z, his main goal is just to kill Archer. And either way, he doesn't care where he has to go, what he has to do in order to get to Archer, such as randomly following him to both New York City and Pam's hometown, just to make him feel uneasy, just to kill him, which in my words makes Barry a sociopath. So, where does all this come in? While Katya is slowly becoming the new bigger bad of the entire series, I'd have to say Barry Dillon is basically the catalyst and victim of the Archer family. Not only is he a victim, he's also very psychotic, unhinged. His cybernetics gave him an outlet, including the fact that he couldn't really be killed until the introduction of explosive bullets. Thank goodness, Archer. Especially since Archer now has a daughter, the one thing you really don't want to happen is to have to tell her that a robot killed her dad, and she has to grow up with that fact. Kill Bill style. But what are your comments on this? I really think it's interesting how the series builds up such a diverse character, yet easily the most scary one of all time that I've ever seen, because he's just so affable while he's doing all this terrible stuff. It's just so wrong. Unsettling. Like, look into those eyes. Look into those eyes as they're trying to crush the living daylights out of you or ruin your day in any way you can. Going as far as to monitor all your movements from space and sending KGB agents to kill you. And 3 children, possibly, and a mother. I mean, hair gold, heart of gold does not apply to him. Tell me in the comment section what you think. What do you want me to do next? I have some great ideas for some videos, including a step-by-step knitting of your favorite character in a type of garment, another analyst of a serial, another analyzation of another character from another series. You can actually